Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm Dear Darling. As we see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhollow today in a morning episode. You know, I felt like I've been recording too many episodes at 11 p.m. Let's try 11 a.m. instead. There's not really much motivation behind it. I just sort of woke up and, you know, I mean, I didn't just wake up, hold on, every phrase. You know, it was just this morning and I was just like, you know what? Let's just record some Animal Crossing in the morning. Get it done out of the way. Maybe do some other recordings. I don't know what else I need to record. Oh, well, hold on. Do I have an episode coming out today? What day is it? It's Tunic Day, so I think I do. But it's best to check a little bit. It's not titled. Okay, I need to do that. Good morning, everyone. Right now in Fawnhollow, it's 11:17 a.m. on Saturday, October 7th, 2023. Kickstarter is performing. Unfortunately, we won't be able to see it because that's just how it goes. Let's see. Goodbye Volcano High, Railbound. And I got no. Okay, so I need to record some Tunic. I actually think Tunic might be coming to an end. I don't even remember what I have following on from Tunic. Or what I plan to have following on from Tunic. Oh, that's what I have planning to follow on. Interesting. There's actually a few games which it could be. I don't know necessarily which one I would agree with, but we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, what was I gonna say? I don't know. I don't really know what we're going to talk about today. I guess we could talk about more holiday stuff. I didn't have as prepared, you know, as a very sort of spur of a moment thing, where I was just going to talk about whatever. What did happen? Okay, so yesterday I spoke about herbing. Herbing is probably quite a different thing from herping, which is, if you didn't know, like trying to find amphibians, not just snakes, as it turns out. Wait, no, reptiles are amphibians. Snakes aren't amphibians. Now think about it. So, I probably read a Wikipedia thing wrong. Let me see. Apologies, a little bit of a pause. I don't even remember what I was talking about, but I do know I was going to be talking about the holiday. I don't even know if I ever started that conversation, but yeah, okay, yesterday I talked about herping. I didn't actually mean to do that. Ah, yes, the next thing we did. So the next thing we did was, if you don't know, Dubrovnik is basically, well, okay, I don't know the exact details, I'm going to be honest, because I've never seen Game of Thrones. But basically, it's like, Dubrovnik is where a lot of Game of Thrones was filmed. For some reason in my head, I also feel like it was filmed in Iceland as well, like with two main countries or something. But as I understand it from this thing we went on, it was like, it's also where like, but I don't even know what the castle is. In my mind, it's like Red Keep or something, but I don't know if that's true. But there's like a castle, which this is where it's filmed, and there's a lot of like set pieces or whatever. So basically what we did was like escape. It's not an escape game. It was called like an escape. Sorry, it's not like an escape room. It was called an escape game. I got it backwards there. It kind of is more like a weird treasure hunt, except for it's not really a treasure hunt. But essentially, what happened is it was just like Game of Thrones themed. You know, it's basically what it basically was. It was like a tour. In my opinion, it was a Game of Thrones tour, I suppose, around, you know, the town, I suppose, of Dubrovnik. But also, you basically do a puzzle every like 20 minutes or something. Not a particularly hard puzzle, mind you. They're they're very small and bite-sized puzzles, but still. I don't mean that in like a bad way or anything like that. It's just like it is what it is. Yeah, so basically that's what we did. We went on a small little sort of like tour thing of Dubrovnik, and we got to see like Game of Thrones stuff, except for, you know, we were in a group, and then like I think it was 6 of us, and it was me and another friend had never seen Game of Thrones, and like I think the others did to some varying degrees. I honestly cannot remember off the top of my head, but something like that. But yeah, it was honestly, surprisingly, despite the fact that I had not watched Game of Thrones, it was actually pretty nice. Not so much because of like Game of Thrones knowledge. It was basically just like a small little, very relaxed tour around the city where you have some like sort of fun games to play at the same time. So I cannot remember anything like about the names, but we started off out like with this cliffside. It's where I suppose Game of Thrones spoilers, but again I don't know what I'm spoiling, but it's someone like died, and my friends told me who it was. I don't remember, but we started up top of a cliffside. We had these cool props as well. We had like this cool like book with like a wooden like cover, and basically the first thing was like, here, do a maze. And it was actually an interesting design. It was like this, it was this big book, but the pages were like wooden, and then all the pages were locked using like a series of locks, so you couldn't turn the page until you figured out the puzzle or whatever. Obviously, I was doing it not for Game of Thrones, but I was doing it very much for puzzles, because I like, you know, escape rooms, there's escape games and things like that. I would say the puzzles in this one were probably way too easy. But I felt like I probably ended up sort of like monopolizing puzzle solving, because it was the sort of thing where I looked at it and be like, oh, it's this sort of puzzle. It's like I've done these puzzles before. It's like the first one's just a maze. I mean, to be fair, they're meant to be simple, because I assume it's meant to be approachable. It's more meant to be like a casual tour rather than all that intense an escape game situation. So the first one I remember was just a maze. The second one was, I think, well, I don't know if it's the second one, but one of them was like a pig pen cipher, which, you know, I know from my code breaking days, or, well, I shouldn't say code breaking, but we had a code breaking like society or something in school. I remember that, which I didn't really participate in all that much, but I don't know. I learned pig pen from somewhere, not off the top of my head, of course, but the concept of it. And another one was like a Picross puzzle, which, you know, I like Picross puzzles, they're good fun, and that's not disturbed me. What else? There was one a practical one, which was actually kind of cool, but we'll get onto that, I suppose. I mean, I could just look at the order. So, okay, first one was a maze, and we left the cliffside to go to a bar, and at the bar, oh no, we went to the docks, and at the docks was a Picross puzzle, which, you know, Picross is, if you don't know, you can Google it. Basically, you get you basically get a grid, and then you get a number of prompts to say how many of like each of the squares are filled in on each row and column. And then you had to go to the bar, and I can't remember, you had to say something, and you give them a coin, and then, you know, they're in on it as well, and then you have a seat and you get some drinks, and they give you like a practical thing where you need to make something. I don't remember what it was. Was it a poison? I can't remember. See, all of these like prompts and things were very much intertwined with the details, I suppose, of the show. You know, they were like married together, I suppose, and like, oh, you're doing this in the context of a show, except for I can't remember it because I don't remember the context of a show. Okay, customize hit rocks, barista, can do. But it was cool. It was just like some basic chemical reaction. I don't know what chemical reaction it was. I was trying to figure it out, but my guess is it was some sort of you basically mix an indicator with a base, and it just turned it into like a very pink solution, which is what I thought, but I don't know if indicators go that pink. They go up to like blue and purple, like I mean, universal indicators sort of like the go-to one, so maybe it was, I don't know. In my head, I was like, it's potassium hydroxide. I don't know if in solution that is purple, but let's see. Potassium hydroxide. This is a test of how good my chemistry knowledge actually is. Solution. Okay, it's not potassium hydroxide. What? It's potassium something that goes super purple, doesn't it? Potassium purple solution. Potassium permanganate? I guess it was kind of more pink. An acid which can decolorize purple, colored purple potassium permanganate solution is. That's what Google is suggesting to me. Is it potassium permanganate? I don't know if it's potassium permanganate, isn't it? That doesn't feel right, because wouldn't that need quite a concentrated solution? Anyway, it might not have been any of that. Like, maybe it wasn't even just like a chemical reaction. Maybe it was just like some... But the thing is, it started out as white powders. So that's why I think my brain immediately went to like, oh, it's a chemical reaction of some sort. It basically brought me back to my sort of like titration days back of A-level chemistry. Anyway, who knows what reaction it particularly was, or obviously not something of safe for consumption. I think we're making a poison, I don't know. And then you match up, if you ever do this escape game, you're going to be spoiled, I suppose, and how you actually do. Well, I'm not actually telling you how to do things, because the instructions are there on each page, to be fair. And then you match it up, and then it gives you the combination. And then we had to go to the Old Town part, and there's, I can't remember, there's some scene where you're in the show where, I don't know, you're meant to be naked and you're meant to be standing on like a gargoyle thing facing the wall. I don't know the context of it, but basically we had to have one of our friends do that, not get naked. He just took his top off or whatever, and then took a picture just like leaning against the wall. It's a great photo, to be honest. But yeah, I genuinely don't know what the context is of that. So, you know, And the nudity was obviously optional. But I remember it took us a long time to find this like tiny gargoyle thing, because we were just like, where is it? It's just like this small thing, like right at the beginning, like near floor level. And then you walk to this other area, and there's like a combination on like a lock, which is like attached to a fence. And then you go to a church, and then I don't remember reading stuff out. Oh, and then you had to do the walk of shame. So if you haven't seen Game of Thrones, to be honest, you might know about this scene in the first place because it was so notorious. Like, even I knew about it. So I didn't know really the context of it. I just knew of its existence, to be perfectly honest. But it's basically some character is atoning, I think, for her sins, or seeking some sort of redemption, where she has to walk naked, like, through the streets of Westeros? I don't know. Streets of somewhere, where some person walks behind her ringing a bell going shame, 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 and then like the townspeople like throw like rotten tomatoes and bad things at her or something like that. Again, I don't really know. Oh wow, we've had a lot in like new recipes recently. Again, I don't know the context of what any other story is. I just know that's a scene which happens, and there was just like, oh, you know, there's I remember as well, he gave us a fun fact about that, where the actress who was gonna they wanted to hire obviously a body double for the actress, because like, fair enough, the actress is like, I ain't doing that, to be perfectly honest. And you know, I think that's fair, because I feel like even if you are like a actor, actress, or you know, in the acting industry, you probably aren't really, most people probably aren't really keen to, you know, walk naked through like a public town, even if it is sectioned off, I suppose. For that day, because that, you know, it feels a bit exposing, right? So they wanted to hire like a body double, and they initially were going to try and hire someone from Dubrovnik itself, but because it's a small town, like everyone knows each other, no one was willing to do it, so they had to hire in an adult actress, shall we say, from I don't even know where, to be the body double. I mean, I'm sure if you Google it, you can probably know. Shame Walk, Game of Thrones. Cersei's Walk of Shame. Yeah, there you go. And then I don't know. That just happens. I don't really know the greater context of his story, but there you go. Anyway, we had to recreate that. Again, optional nudity, but we had to do part of a walk like down these stairs while someone else had to ring a bell yelling out shame. I was not doing a walking nor a ringing of a bell. I was instead recording, as I usually do, taking pictures and videos. Apparently, and like I didn't really hear, because I sort of like ran on ahead to get like a good shot of a walk happening. But apparently, like some of the other tourists just like started joining in, yelling shame as well. I found it very funny, because there's a lot of people just like trying to take like nice photos like on the staircase or something, because it's like a nice staircase in front of a church, and then we're just like walking down being like shame, shame, with one of our friends topless, which, you know, credit to him. That's got to be rather you've got to have a strong sense of, let's see, self-confidence, I think, to do that in any sense of a word, you know. You might ask, would you do it? And I'm thinking about it. I think the answer is probably no. Like, I'd probably be okay with like ringing the bell and yelling shame. That actually sounds kind of funny, if anything. But I don't know if I'd particularly want to do a walk of shame. I mean, I guess that's kind of a point of it. It's meant to be shameful. I suppose if you didn't find it shameful, then it doesn't really hold much inherent value as a repentance act or something, right? Anyway, I don't know. We did that, and then we got to a fountain. We had to fish a key at the fountain, and then I don't remember. We finished, and they took us to like a model version of like a Game of Thrones throne of a sword, and we all took pictures on it, and you know, that was that. It's wild to think about as well, because Game of Thrones is very much, you know, I don't know necessarily how much you remember about Game of Thrones in its heyday, or certainly, but I've never watched it or anything like that, but I certainly heard a lot about it. Like my friends were watching, or some of my friends were watching it, and like, you know, people I knew were just watching it and talking about it, and like I remember it concluded in university time, and how, you know, people were so hyped after like season 6 or something. When season 7, people were like, that was okay, it was interesting, and it kind of depends how they stick the landing. And when season 8 came out, was the final one, and it was just utterly terrible. People hated it. It was just, it absolutely, like, it almost single-handedly, I suppose, sullied the reputation, I suppose, of Game of Thrones even had. Like, it at its peak, it was everywhere. People loved it. It was a flavour of a year, a flavour of many years, I suppose. And then it's just one season, just one absolutely atrocious season, and it just took an absolute nosedive off a cliff. And, you know, people just hated about it. And now you don't really hear about it anymore. It must have been a scary day for anyone in Dubrovnik, because, as I said, Dubrovnik's main industry apparently is tourism. I don't know if because of Game of Thrones, or like Game of Thrones was just like a huge push for it. But can you imagine like Game of Thrones being so popular? I mean, being your industry relying on, I suppose, tourists coming here to see like sets and that sort of thing, and suddenly Game of Thrones take this massive rating nosedive through like an absolute drop of quality. Yeah. So I don't super know why the last season is really bad. I just remember like one of the staff, like one of the cleaners, I suppose, at my university, I ended up talking to her about it because she was like a big fan and she hadn't watched it yet. And I was like, oh, have you heard the news about it? And she was like, yeah, I've heard it's like really badly rated, but I'm still going to watch it. And I was like, well, let me know how it goes. You know, insert name here, Jane Doe. And when I spoke with her later about it, she was like, dear darling, it was not good. And I was like, I'm sorry to hear that. But then I think I actually showed her like memes of like people reacting to it, and she found that funny. So I wonder how she's doing now. To be honest, she was a very lovely lady. Anyway, sorry, that's neither here nor there. We took some photos on my phone. We all did our different poses. I tried to do like a very sort of serious like iron fist sort of pose. Hello, what is this notification? I just got my phone. That's something I'm going to promptly ignore. Coffee, any good? Yeah, it's pretty good, Captain. Yeah. So cool, I guess. You know, it was surprising because when I initially signed up for it, I thought it was like an escape room, and then I was like, oh, it's an escape game. As I read it a bit more, and I was like, that sounds cool. It's like running around the city doing like these puzzles and that sort of thing. I'm like, that sounds fun. Although to be fair, a few days earlier we did have our own like mini tour of the city. I guess this was a different mini tour. To be perfectly fair, we saw some different things, seeing as the first one was up on the walls. And I was like, I wonder how I feel about it. The fact it's Game of Thrones related, you know, would I really care? But honestly, it was just like a super chill tour of a city, you know. I'd recommend doing it, you know. You can go find it yourself, Dubrovnik, escape game or whatever have you, or whatever you want. And then it's just like, it was just like a super really chill experience. Like I can't remember how long it took us, like a couple of hours or something. Obviously you can rush through it. You could probably finish it in like half an hour if you really wanted to. I don't know why you would, because it's just basically a really nice chill walk through the city. And despite the fact that Dubrovnik is Croatia in general, you know, had very hot temperatures even when we went, even during the time that we went, and it was super sunny, and most of our walk was actually just kind of through the city street, so it wasn't actually that sunny. You're walking in shade. It was very sunny still, but you were just walking in shade mostly, so it was still pretty cool. And it wasn't a huge amount of walking, so it was surprisingly pretty good, you know. I didn't know what I was expecting going into it, but I was like, this is a really pleasant experience, I suppose. We found our crafter, right? Raymond was a crafter, yes. So yeah, I don't know, give it a shot if you so desire, if you so want. And yeah, and you can do your own walk of shame. Again, I don't really know the context behind it, but it was so, I guess it's, I mean, which season did it come out in? Walk of Shame season 5. Yeah, so that's very much near its like sort of peak epicness or whatever. Because that scene was so popular. I heard about it. There were memes about it for ages, and I was like, I don't understand why there are so many memes about a naked woman and then a nun or something yelling out, shame, shame. Crazy, though. Anyway, I think I'll round this episode off here. I don't know what I'm going to title it, and I guess I'll figure something else. But if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Socials and Discord down below. Hope we see each other again, but for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now. Oh, it's actually called the Walk of Atonement. Okay, whatever.